Let's discuss what makes someone secure. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. I've been counseling women and men who have experienced abuse, as well as those who have been perpetrators of abuse and or violent crimes. So I have a question here from a commenter that's asking, what makes someone secure? Is it their upbringing or their own decision to become secure? This is a great question. And I think it can be an either or, it could be a both, but I actually think it's a culmination of things. So I think number one, I do think that there is a component to the upbringing in terms of the connection that a person has with their parents and or the people who raised them. So if that's their grandmother or adoptive family or whomever who raised them, I think if they feel safe, if they feel nurtured, if they feel loved, if that's the type of environment that are raised in, if they feel heard, they feel seen, they feel like they have someone that they can go to talk about and help them problem solve, I think that's one aspect of it as well. But I also think, that's one piece, but I also think the other piece is how people are disciplined. So, if people are taught discipline a number of ways, but if people are taught discipline from the stance that it's okay to have conflict, and yes, people do things wrong, but I'm more interested in how you sort of right your wrong or you recover from your mistake, and just how real that is, as opposed to, discipline that's supposed to really hurt you. It's supposed to shame you or degrade you in some way. But I think if it's in a way that's, that's nurturing, and it's more about how do you recover? How do you come back from this mistake? How do you fix your issues? Fix the issues that sort of led to you making these decisions. Talk through it, but also, have some correction in terms of how that's done. I think that can also be very helpful, and it lets the person know that despite if I make a mistake, and this isn't all the time, right? But if I make a mistake, if there's some disappointment or if there's something, you still got my back. You still love me in spite of that. I can go to you if I'm ever in any trouble. If I made a mistake and I did something that it was stupid. Yes, I know, but now I can't get myself out of it. If I can't come to you and tell you because I'm so ashamed, and I end up getting myself in worse and worse and worse situations because I have no one to turn to, then that becomes, then that's kind of how that situation sort of, spirals and things. But it's all about the good and how the good and the bad, but more importantly, how you recover from that. I also think that you are intentional about becoming secure. So if you weren't raised in any of those types of environments that I was talking about, maybe you were raised in unhealthy, toxic, maybe there was some addiction, you grew up having to fend for yourself, you might have been homeless on the streets, you've always done life by yourself, then you would be the group that I'm talking to this next part where, and just everybody in general, really, that you have to sort of teach yourself. You have to be intentional about being secure, but you also have to do the work to become secure. So that means working through all of your stuff. To me, I have found that you can only do that through therapy, where you can talk to an objective person and pull out all of your stuff, be called out, take accountability for it, learn from it, rectify it, deal with it, and become better in spite of it. Not, sweep it under the rug, blame the next person or drag the next person to hell and back because your life hasn't been easy. None of that stuff. You have to really sort of deal with it. You talk about your feelings, you talk about your hurt, you talk about your pain, and you're intentional about doing that and doing the work. And this is long-term work. This is not overnight work. But you are also intentional about what your goals are going forward. Like, I know that I don't want to repeat what I came from. I know I don't want to repeat those old toxic familial patterns. I want to have a family. I want to have a strong foundation. So it starts with me doing the work, because when I do the work on myself, that's going to set the precedent for everybody else, right? So anybody that I date, anybody that I bring into my life, anybody that I have any sort of connection with, I set the standard, right, for how I should be treated. And I start with what I do for myself. I start with the ways that I'm holding myself accountable. I start with the way that I am doing the work. And so I'm going to be treating myself well. So therefore, everybody else that comes in after me is also going to be treating me well. I think, and so having, having your core values and sticking to that, but also, sort of aligning yourself with people that have core values that are the same as or similar to yours, right? So for example, a core value that I have is loyalty, right? And core values can evolve, and you should probably have a minimum of 20. But, I have a core value of loyalty. So in the past, I might have dated someone that had some problems with infidelity. But if my core value is loyalty, I live my way through loyalty. And loyalty is one of those words that are very small but has a very big definition, right? And everybody's going to define it, a little bit different. But for me, I know that means that I want people to speak well and think well of me when I'm not in the room. I do not want to, I want people that are loyal, because I don't want to have to worry about being stabbed in the back or being betrayed or being anything like that. And so if the partner that I'm with, if my friends that I am with also have that core value, if they also believe in loyalty and they sort of lead their life that way, like I'm loyal to my friends, I'm loyal to my partner, I don't have to worry about being cheated on. I don't have to worry about somebody, bringing home something to me that I can't get rid of, or having some crazy woman show up at my doorstep talking about you mess with my man. Yeah, I don't have to worry about that, because, though that's not going to be a fear of mine. And if I do have to worry about it, because my core value is loyalty, and it's not something that I'm willing to waver on for nobody, he can go. This the first sign that I see that he's not living up to that, right? And no matter, I don't care if we've known each other for 10, 15, 20 years, he's got to go. Or they've got to go if they're being disloyal. So I hope that helps. The last thing that I will mention is, you want to be not just in relationships, but I think if you're secure in other areas too. So if you have your basic life foundation, meaning you got food, water, shelter, things like that, I think the more stable and secure your life is, the more you can worry about the relationship aspect. So I think that's also a big part of security and stability as well. And so, like, if I live in a place where I love, I have great relationships with my neighbors. I have my little garden and stuff like that out front. I can walk around barefoot, or the ocean is nearby, and I feel like very at peace. I can cook myself a fantastic meal. Bills are paid and things like that. And I can sort of relax in that. I can feel calm and feel at peace with where life is at. Then I'm not in survival mode, and I could feel secure within myself. People that aren't secure within themselves, within their environment, within their place in life, and that includes like career and stuff, a lot of them are too busy worried about what other people are doing, or trying to survive, scrape, scramble, and trying to get out of their situation. And so anything else beyond that, because if they're not stable, anything else beyond that would be, overwhelming, and they wouldn't be able to dedicate the time, attention, and care to that. Hope that helps. Thanks for asking. This is a great question.